So what is your success rate for the most part?
So we did this once. We did a bunch of exit interviews of 100 people that were randomly leaving the service. Every third person that left the service, we'd ask this question to.
Mm.
First question was, did you find or form a relationship either directly? Well, first question was, are you satisfied with your experience? So we have like a 99% satisfaction rate, which
Nice.
we're very proud of. Uh,
Yeah.
but then the next question was, did you find or form a relationship as a result of the experience? And we ask, in addition to that, we make it clear, either directly or indirectly from the service, because there's a lot of people who feel that the feedback and the coaching was so valuable that they were able to apply themselves and use it in their outside efforts. And they end up meeting someone and they still credit us with that success.
I love that.
Yeah. So ultimately, it was about 87% of the
Hmm.
people who went through the service said that they found the relationship either directly or indirectly as a result of the service.
Wow, that's a really good rate. I was thinking it was gonna be in like the 60s. That's great. I love
Yeah.
that.
But the good
I
thing
love
is,
that.
I was going to say that even the 1 out of 8 people that aren't finding relationship, they're
Yeah.
still satisfied with their experience, right?
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
came looking to meet someone special, and they didn't by the end of it, but they still met quality people. They had a good
Hmm.
time. They learned a thing or two along the way, and we have a policy that anybody who is a good fit for our service, that has made a good representation of us and is a quality eligible single person, we're going
Hmm.
to continue to represent them in our database, right?
Oh,
And like I
nice.
said to you before, we consider people who have gone through their matches but are still single in good standing as
Hmm.
potential candidates for clients that are in need of a match.
What's the max number of matches you can get?
Well, typically we don't give away more than 6 up front.
Okay.
Some people have bought more, like 8 to 10, because they're just really selective and they want to have as much opportunity as possible and they're willing to spend the money. But on average, we will contract for about 6 matches up front.
Okay. And which characteristics do you base on for the most for the match? Like if you were looking at their list, do you start at the top three things? Like you're like, okay, she likes somebody who's tall, so we're going to find somebody who's tall. Do you kind of go with that or do you go deeper?
Well, to be honest with you, we start with the widest net to catch the most fish, and then
Hmm.
we filter out the misfits from there.
Mm.
So typically, when I'm going into the database and I'm doing a search for someone, I'm looking at age range, I'm looking at distance, and I'm looking at race.
Mm.
These are the things that are the easiest to rule people out in a very binary sort of way.
Yeah.
And then once you've reduced the pool to people that are age appropriate, that are within the distance that someone's willing to date, and they're of the ethnicity that they're comfortable with, then you start looking at photos and you want to see if they're physically compatible, right? So
Mm.
it's very subjective as a
Yeah.
matchmaker to sit there and look at
Yeah.
one person and look at another person and be like, yeah, they look like they'd be good together.
Yeah.
And then you start peeling back a little bit more and you start saying, okay, well, this person has kids. Is this person open to someone who has kids? uh,
Hmm.
and this person says that they want kids, and this person says that they're not sure if they want kids, right? Like you have to get into each one of
Real
those
granular.
criteria.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you'll start looking at politics, you'll start looking at religious views. You try to see if there's any common interests that they share, or if they share similar backgrounds of sorts. So now you're looking for touch points that make them more compatible, that you
Hmm.
can hopefully find that likeness to build around, and then that's how you typically will start in on marketing the match, is
Hmm.
focusing on what they share in common, focusing on what makes them compatible for one another, and really trying to discount the things that might make them a misfit.
I like that. Okay, so what's the wildest or most unexpected request you've ever received from a client looking for a match? Do they get to kind of state something? They're like, okay, but I do want a guy who's like really into snakes or something weird like that. I don't know.
It's interesting because I'd like to say that I've heard it all, and I mean, doing this for over 20 years now, like there's truly nothing that surprises me anymore.
Yeah.
Um, you know, Interesting things come up.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I'm just thinking of something, for example, tattoos.
Mhm.
right? So somebody will sit there who has tattoos and want to meet somebody else that has tattoos, right? As
So
if it makes a
silly.
difference. I know.
It's so silly.
Exactly. You know, or somebody who has had certain lived experiences, right?
Mhm.
Like I'll have somebody who sits there and says, I want to meet somebody who has had to struggle through some challenge in their life and has used perseverance to overcome it. And came out the other side a better person as a result of what they went through. Right. And so, you sometimes look for somebody who might have had a loss in the family
Yeah.
or somebody who might have had a traumatic event or somebody who might have had to deal with a major career change or things like that.
Mhm.
And so you try to find something that the other person would really appreciate or admire about them and you build
Mhm.
around that. Um, you know, what's interesting is when you get people that are like I call them reverse racists,
Okay.
right? Like you'll get someone who's of Asian descent that says, "Don't introduce me to anyone Asian," right? Or someone who's
Okay.
Indian says, "I don't want to meet any other Indians." And I'm like, "That's fine. I mean, we can match you outside of your race, but
Yeah.
is there any reason why you wouldn't date someone of the same background as you?" And like, and sometimes you hear the craziest things. I once heard a woman say to me, "I don't want to meet anybody from India because they used a bathroom in the ground." And I was like, Are you, that's
Or
that's that's probably not even very true.
yeah.
I've been to India before and they have toilets. And so I'm really shocked that that was her reasoning for why she didn't want to meet someone from India and she's Indian.
Yeah.
But, I hear the craziest things and you just kind of have to chalk it up to, a
People
picadillo.
are weird.
Yeah, people are weird. And then you just keep it moving.
People are weird.
Yeah.
So, how do you handle clients with like celebrity level egos or impossibly high standards when they're just like, it's so difficult to find a main way? Are you just like, all right, enough?
Um, you know, that's a great question because there's somebody in particular that my staff is dealing with now who has one of
Ooh.
those types of egos. And the truth is, you have to humble them a little bit.
Hmm.
And oftentimes it's by giving them a dose of rejection.
Mm.
And so, if you have a guy or a girl, for example, who just thinks that they are the bee's knees,
Mhm.
and you find them somebody that they're excited to meet, but then you represent them to that person and that person doesn't want to meet them.
Mm.
They give you a pretty superficial reason why, right? Oh, he's not tall enough for me, or he's too old, or not good looking enough. And then you share that with them.
Ooh.
It stings, right?
Yeah, it
It stings.
does.
But it does also humble them in a way. And it allows them to be, I think, more practical and realistic about what the challenge is that we're facing. Um, the worst part about it is that even though 1 out of 100 of my clients will walk away feeling like they didn't get what they signed up for,
Hmm.
or they wouldn't do it all over again if they were given a choice.
Hmm.
Um, I can't help what the world thinks of you.
Yep.
And the only thing I can do is try to represent you in your best interest and do an honest job and try to find people that we believe are really compatible with you and have the intangibles that you would need in order to feel like you're attracted to them and that you could
Hmm.
develop a relationship. It is much more of an art than a science.
Yeah.
And not everybody is going to like the final product. And you have to be comfortable with that. You have to know that you can't make everybody happy. But as
Hmm.
long as you're working hard for them and you're making suggestions and you're presenting quality people to them, they're within their right to decline to meet somebody, even though you
Hmm.
might feel very passionate about them as a potential match. But that's their choice and you have
Hmm.
to accept that. And so when you have clients that are reluctant to meet somebody that you want them to meet, or they're too picky for their own good,
Hmm.
and they grow impatient and then they become unhappy, um, there's not much that you can do about it other than to say, look, this is what I've been doing. This is my work, and you can show
Yeah.
your work, and you can sit there and say, I've done the best that I could do for you, but unfortunately, we're not making you happy, and I'm sorry that you feel that way, but we're not going to just give you your money back because you didn't find the love of your life through our service.
Right.
So
Right.
it can get a little hairy sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's really difficult because you don't know what you don't know. So you can say, I don't want to meet this person or that person. And then you meet the person. And quite often, I think those are the ones that you end up being so surprised by.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
Is there, go ahead.
I was going to say, we have a lot of clients that come back to us after they've been reluctant to meet someone, and they say, thank you so much for convincing me. I had a really great time. I'm looking forward to getting to know them better. So we get
Mhm.
feedback like that every week.
Yeah, because we have it in our mind exactly what we want. And obviously, they're there for a reason, right? They haven't found, and something's not working. Their picker's off or whatever it might be, and it's not working. So why not trust the experts,
Yeah,
right?
that's what we say.
It, I'm with you.
Yeah.
So is there a line that is drawn, like they can go, okay, yeah, I don't like that one. I don't like that one. Is there like a line that they can get so far and go, okay, we had a phone conversation that didn't necessarily go well. Does that count as a full match, or is there a point when it counts as a match?
So it's when you see in person that they're everything we've represented them to be, that we count it as.
Ah,
Now,
okay.
one thing that makes us different from a lot of other services is a lot of companies will require you to use your service within a fixed amount of time.
Hmm.
And, it's a sort of use it or lose it approach where, you might be introduced to somebody and you may even like them. You may even want to see where it goes. And then a few weeks later, they may have another match for you. And you may say, well, I'm still seeing this first person. I'd rather not, use another match. Can we put the service on hold? A lot of services won't even give you hold time, or when they do,
Hmm.
it's very limited.
Yeah.
They may say, nope, we have another match for you. Take it or leave it. We're moving forward with your contract, and we're just doing what we promised, right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to carry out the service. What we do is we allow our clients to move at a pace that's comfortable for them. That also gives us the flexibility of being able to patiently pursue a match for the client rather than trying to force a square peg in a round hole.
Hmm.
So what happens is if you turn somebody down, well, we have to get back to the drawing board, and it may take us in some cases 4 to 6 weeks before we have another possibility that we think would be good for you. So
Yeah.
when you're turning people down, you just have to understand that you're prolonging the experience, and it's just going to take longer for you to meet a match.
Mm. And I think that's great that you give that opportunity for them to fulfill whatever they're in before and put their match on hold, because that to me, that's a company that's actually trying to get people to meet somebody, genuinely meet somebody and fall in love. It's not about the money. It's not about how quick we can get you in and out. It's like, let's go through the process the right way. So I like that.
Sure.
Like that. So what's the most brutal truth you've had to tell someone about when they're searching for love? Have you had to do that? I'm sure
Um,
you have.
yeah, I mean that's why they gave me a show called Tough Love to begin with.
Yeah, right.
I mean, I'll tell you the story about how we came up with the name.
Yeah.
There was this time. I mean, this was 15, almost. I mean, it's almost 20 years ago now. I mean,
Hmm.
I've been doing this since 2003, so this will be 22 years
Two
I've been doing
years.
it. Yeah. So I would say to you, it was probably about 17 years ago. Um, my mom has always taken great care of herself.
Hmm.
Um, she calls it maintenance. And so, she's had work done, and it's always been done very tastefully.
Hmm.
So she's been doing it her whole adult life. I'm not spilling any beans. My mom talks about this openly. And so there was a woman who insisted on meeting a man that was younger than her. But this was a woman who hadn't had any work done, who hadn't been doing the maintenance,
Hmm.
who looked her age. And, my mom once told her, like, look, one woman to another, if you expect to meet men that are 5 to 10 years younger than you, you're going to need some work. And, she told her that very unapologetically
Hmm.
because it came from a honest place and it was really meant to be constructive criticism. Right. And so when the producer who made the show with us said, well, that's pretty tough, but it's coming from a loving place. Maybe we should just call the show Tough Love. And
Mm,
that's how we came up with the name.
yeah.
So it's very difficult sometimes to give people the unvarnished truth that
Hmm.
they need to hear. But, I'll tell you a story. There was a guy that I worked with, and I'm not going to share his name, but he was successful, good looking, charming, retired, had everything going for him that a woman would want, except he had really bad teeth.
I knew
Like
you were going to say
like,
that.
I'm telling you, like, his teeth look like George Washington's teeth, okay? Like, they were awfully, awfully bad. Now, because this man was so wildly successful, I knew that he could afford to have the teeth done.
Yeah.
Right. And so, meanwhile, he's somebody who wanted to meet, women that were younger, women that were beautiful, and he paid a substantial fee for the service.
Hmm.
Well, I was able, because when he smiles, you don't see his teeth. And I was able to use his photos and use his profile, and I didn't lie, I didn't misrepresent him in any way.
Hmm.
I was able to market him to women that were willing to meet with him.
Hmm.
And I got 3 women to go out with him that were beautiful and young and everything that he was asking for. But I knew they would see his teeth,
Hmm.
and I knew that they would be uncomfortable with it. And my mom always said that as a woman, you can never really see yourself dating someone unless you could, close your eyes and at least picture yourself kissing them.
Yeah.
And so I would ask these women that, could you close your eyes and picture yourself kissing him? And they're like, no, ah. Like, this is after they like shared like really he was a really nice guy, he was a gentleman, he's just not right for me. Like,
Uh-huh.
I had to get them
To
to
say
say
why.
it. Yeah, I had to get them to say it. They didn't wanna say it, but I had to get them to say it. I told them, "Listen, do you wanna hear the truth, or do
Yeah.
you wanna just keep on meeting people? What do you want?" He goes, "Steve, I wouldn't have paid you the money that I paid you unless I wanted to hear the truth." And so I told him, I go, "None of these women could imagine themselves kissing you because of your teeth." And I said, "If you get your teeth fixed,
Yeah.
you probably won't even
Game
need."
on.
And that's exactly what happened. He went out. He's like, "Steve, I'll be back in 6 weeks." He went out. He got his
Hmm.
teeth fixed. Sent me a photo of himself in the chair at the doctor's office with the big veneer smile and everything like that. And sure enough, met someone on his own. Didn't need his service at all. You know.
Wow.
And so stuff like that actually happens, believe it or not, all the time.
Isn't that crazy? He just never, he needed somebody to tell him that, or he needed to feel that rejection to do it. And he could have done it all along.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is that most people are so used to being surrounded by, friends, family, people who are so supportive of you no matter what.
Mm. Yes,
She really
man.
loved you. She wouldn't care about your teeth,
Hmm.
something like that.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day, I mean, people are superficial, and
Yeah.
they really do care about appearances, and
Yeah.
you got to keep it up if you want to attract the right person.
Wow. Yeah, and especially, the richer you are, the more yes men you have around you and surrounding you and never tell you the truth for the fear of them kicking you off the island. You're not getting anything more.
100%.
So is there a type of person that you found that matchmaking just doesn't work for, no matter how good the match?
Yeah, the people that are real narcissistic tend to
Mm,
have a poor experience with us.
yeah.
If you're not receptive to criticism, you're not willing to adjust your criteria and be
Hmm.
flexible, you're not willing to be patient, then it's just not going to work for you. And
Yeah.
so we have to tell people that when they're contacting us, like, this is not for the faint of heart. It may take time to find you suitable matches. You
Hmm.
may not be happy with every introduction. There is some possibility for rejection. But if you can't handle it, then I'd recommend you go to one of these blind dating services that just sets you up
Yeah.
for blind dates, and who knows what can happen.
Yeah. That sounds terrible. The blind date one, that sounds terrible. Could
You-
be like, I want
oh my God,
another match.
you'd be amazed. The biggest companies in the entire country that do this are all doing blind dates. Yeah.
That is crazy to me.
It's the smaller ones, the independents that we call it. that are doing it with photos and phone calls and background checks. It's pretty wild. Listen, I don't bemoan it because
Mhm.
I would say that for the average person, a blind dating service might be great.
Yeah.
You might not be able to attract somebody based upon your appearance, right?
Yeah.
You might need the opportunity to just get in front of someone and make your shoot your shot with the hope that that person is of equal attractiveness level as you
Yeah.
and aren't going to think that they're out of your league. So some people, I think it works really well for.
Oh my God, that sounds terrifying. That sounds
I
terrifying.
Every single time someone comes to me that has used one of those services before, that's exactly what I say.
Yeah.
I'm completely unshocked that they didn't get what they were looking for, and now they're considering another service. But
Yeah.
these companies, they're great marketing machines. They do a really good job of putting themselves out there and making it look like it's so easy to find love, and it's anything but.
The blind dating thing reminds me of like the dating sites where you get the first picture and you're like, oh, he's really cute. And then as you start scrolling, it just gets worse. And you're going, there's no way that is the same person. That's how I feel it would be. Like you would show up based on the top one, and then you get there and you get the bottom one. That's what
Yeah,
I think.
and it's funny because some people will, manipulate their photos or Photoshop them, in
Yeah.
some way, using AI to enhance them. And then it's
What's
like,
the point?
yeah, there's no AI that's going to enhance you when you show up for the date, you know?
No.
Exactly. Like,
Yeah.
and then on the flip side, I know other people that are, using photos that are very unflattering. Like they'll post photos of themselves on their dating profile of them like right after they ran a marathon. And I'm like, what?
What are you thinking?
Yeah, why would you do that? Like, there are probably a lot of men that would have otherwise said yes to meeting you, but now
But now,
saying no because they're thinking to themselves, this is what this woman looks like when she's going to show up
yeah.
on a date. No, that's what she looks like after she ran 23 miles. That's not what she looks like on a date.
I have a big problem with pictures on profiles with the men that, the ones that are still wearing masks. So either we're stuck in a time where,
Wearing a mask? Are you kidding me?
I
This
mean, so
photo,
you have to go, either you're still wearing your mask or your pictures are that old. I mean,
I mean,
right?
but still, who's using a pic? Take your mask off for the photo at least.
It's so stupid. I can't handle that. The gym photo, I'm like, maybe no. I was gonna say maybe one just so I could see their physique, but no, I don't even. There's so many other ways to do that. And then the ones that are holding their fish.
Hey, listen, I strongly like reject any of the selfie photos, any mirror photo,
Yeah,
any photo that you took yourself, you should not be using. It is
no,
it is not difficult to ask somebody to take a picture.
take photo. And
Every,
if they're doing their own selfie, it's usually five different just versions as they're turning with the same look over and over. I literally swipe I just talk to myself as I'm swiping, like, are you kidding me? Oh my God, what are you doing there? Take the mask off. And sometimes I just want to swipe right just so that they can come on and I can go, hey, this is what's wrong with your stuff.
yeah,
Bye-bye.
I just wanted to swipe right so I could tell you. Bye.
How shitty you look in your photos, dude. You're never gonna get anybody. That's what I want to do. I have more fun doing that. I could swipe literally 100 to the left. I count it sometimes, and I can go like 100 to the left to get one right. And
Yeah.
it's like it is hard out there
Oh,
for a pimp.
it's a jungle out there. Dating
It,
dating in the wild has never been more difficult.
oh my God, how'd you meet your wife?
I met her on a bus.
So there's hope. You're
Yeah,
saying there's a chance.
yes, there is. Yeah, no, I met my wife when we were both in Park City for ski trips, and it was a town bus that takes you around to all the different resorts. And she was on the bus with her dad. I got on the bus with my dad. Her dad and my dad were talking, and her and I started talking, and
Oh
that was
my
it.
God. I love that story. Why can't that happen? That's like a fairy tale type story. That's a Hallmark movie.
Well, I mean, honestly, people need to be receptive to meeting someone anywhere at
Mhm.
any time.
Mhm.
And if you can at least be open to the possibility that someone is single
Mhm.
and they're like-minded and they're well-intentioned,
Mhm.
just figure it out.
Yeah.
And
Give it a
there's no
shot.
reason why that person may not be the next love of your life.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So I was just going to ask you to wind this down, what advice you would give to singles who are hesitant to try matchmaking but are serious about finding a meaningful relationship.
I would say put yourself out there and be very proactive. You miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
I say that all the time,
Yeah.
Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with approaching somebody and having a conversation with someone that you found attractive. Even
Mhm.
if they're unavailable, they'll still be flattered that you
Mhm.
were interested enough to start a conversation with them,
Mhm.
and I've always suggested that your opening comment should be something to the effect of a compliment
Mhm.
and volunteering something about yourself. So, if you met somebody like on a bus or in a grocery store or in line at a coffee shop or, at a charging station, whatever,
Mhm.
you can sit there and say to that person, you know, uh, wow, you caught me off guard. I wasn't
Mm.
expecting to see someone so cute at the charging station. My name is Steve. And
Mhm.
what's your name? And then once you get their name, it's okay to just state what you think
Okay.
is obvious and say, you know, you seem like a great catch. I would assume you're probably already in a relationship,
Mhm.
right? And then that way, if they tell you that they were, then you were right. And
Yeah.
so it feels good to be right, and people enjoy that. Like they see, I knew it was too good to be true. Well, I don't want to step on anyone's toes. It was really nice meeting you,
Yeah.
right? And you just nip it in the butt.
Yeah.
But if they tell you no, I'm actually not in a relationship, now not only are they indicating that they're available, but they might also even be indicating that they're interested, because
Mm.
it would have been a lot easier to just say that you were seeing someone if you weren't interested,
Yeah.
even if you weren't, right?
Yeah.
So take that as a cue and run with it.
Yeah.
I
It's a
would,
win-win.
yeah, just make a suggestion like, well, I really shouldn't keep you, but we should continue this conversation sometime. Maybe, I should take your phone number and I can give you a call,
Yeah.
and that's it. Now you exchange phone numbers, and then the last thing you do is just state an expectation. Say,
Mhm.
well, how about I give you a call sometime this weekend, and maybe we can set something up for next week.
Mm.
Pretty straightforward, and that way you're walking away with a mutual expectation of one another, and
Mhm.
you have something to go back to. So
Yeah.
it's pretty simple when you think about it, but people overcomplicate it, and
Yeah.
it's not always necessary.
Yeah. For the record, that would totally work on me. You're right. Would totally. I'd be like, okay, yeah. And then if I was the one to say, hey, I'm sure you're probably in a relationship. You're right, because you get back to your car and you're like, darn it, he was cute, but you're still feeling good
Yeah.
about yourself. You're not feeling defeated. You're not feeling rejected. You're just like, darn it, I knew that guy was cute. Too bad he's in a relationship, and you kind of go about your day, right?
100%. I even when I'm coaching my clients, I will often tell them, like, if you're not comfortable doing this, and sometimes I would say, like, in between one of my sessions, like, look, we're not going to meet again until you've done this 3 times. You have to
Mhm.
approach 3 different men and come back and tell me what happened. I would
Oh,
say if you're really uncomfortable doing it, then one, practice on people that you're not super attracted to, because
uh-huh.
you don't really care what ends up happening.
Yeah.
Or two, practice on someone that is unavailable. Maybe you see a wedding ring or something like that. Like, you just,
Oh, good.
it's an instinct that they're unavailable, because you're not setting yourself up for failure. You're prepared for the likelihood that they're not going
Yeah.
to be a fit for you. So you would be surprised at how many people end up just getting comfortable with
Yeah.
talking to strangers after they've practiced it a few times. But you have to be willing to practice and take those chances. And then when it comes time to really do it, and you do it on the right person,
Yeah.
like me, you can end up meeting the love of your life.
Yeah. No, I think that's great. I think there's something to be said about really trying different ways to find out, what works for you and what, like, where you can get to with somebody. Like, I know if I'm matched with somebody and we're chatting on text, it's whatever, but I know once I'm like, they ask to give me a call, I give good phone. So I'm like, I'm in. And I
Exactly.
know it, but that, and that's a mindset thing, but it helps because I just know when I get on that phone, I'm going to be like, I go into my little seductive voice, hello. You know?
If you're a talk show host, I would hope you give good phone.
I give good radio, good podcast, good phone, man.
There you go.
Oh, I love it. Well, this has been awesome. I love how you walked me through step by step because I'm really, truly, genuinely fascinated by all of this. I've never really known how the matchmaking thing works, the insides of it. So I love knowing that. That's very exciting.
Great.
So tell everybody where they can find you, what you got going on everywhere.
Yeah, please look us up at mastermatchmakers.com. We're pretty easy to find. We're in
Mm-hmm.
all 50 states. We're representing men, women, old, young, black, white, everywhere in between.
Mm-hmm.
We work with straight couples.
Okay.
But there's not that there's anything wrong with the alternative lifestyles. It's just that we know what we know, and we have a pool of people that we're able to work with. So we just stay in our lane. But we
Okay.
make referrals for other services and people that are looking for those types of matches.
Mm-hmm.
But find us on. I'm on Threads. I'm on Instagram. I'm at Stephen B. Ward. So if you're more interested in hearing what I have to say, you can find me there.
Love it. You have a great Instagram profile and everything on there. I was perusing it. It was great.
Well, thank
So before you go, I love to play a little game called Would You Rather. I just
you.
have 10 easy questions of would you rather do this based on your area of expertise,
Okay.
somewhat. Okay. Number one, would you rather have a partner who surprises you with grand romantic gestures or one who consistently shows small, thoughtful acts of love?
The consistent small acts of thoughtful love.
You like small things.
Yeah, well, I don't like surprises.
Okay.
And then it really puts the pressure on you to have to, respond with something equally as grand, and it's just too much pressure.
Yeah. Do you get like mad if your wife threw you a surprise party? Would you be like mad about it?
I would definitely be uncomfortable with it for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't be mad about it, but I would sit there and be
Like,
like, this wasn't necessary. You didn't need to do that.
that's funny. Number two, would you rather match a couple who are incredibly attracted to each other but have nothing in common, or two people who have everything in common but zero physical chemistry?
Wow, that's a really good question. I feel like when there's mutual attraction, you can find compatibility, but
Hmm.
I don't believe it the other way around that it works. That just because you're compatible that you can find attraction.
Yeah.
So I would
It's not
rather,
there. It's not there.
yeah, I'd rather match people that are attracted to each other.
Okay. Here's a good one. Would you rather match up Kanye West and Taylor Swift on a date or Kim Kardashian and Justin Bieber?
Well, I mean, Justin Bieber has been happily married for a long time now.
Let's think that he's not. We're
Okay.
not going to break. And he's got a baby, but
Okay.
old question.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that they'd have a lot of fun and a lot to talk about. And believe it or not, I think they share the same attorney. So, so,
That's
so, yeah, that's just something I happen to know from being out in LA. But no, yeah, I would definitely. I mean, I wouldn't match Kanye with anybody. He's not relationship material.
He is not. And then I was just remembering the whole Kanye West and Taylor Swift thing when he went up on stage when she got her award, remember?
Yeah,
And said Beyonce deserved it. So yeah, that's not a good
that
match.
nice.
Number four, would you rather matchmake for celebrities or regular people with incredible love stories?
Um, I've worked with a lot of celebrities in my career,
Mhm.
and some of them I just coached, some of them I've matched. Uh, they're just like us.
Yeah.
Celebrities are just like us, and they have the same needs and desires that everybody else has.
Yeah.
But I enjoy working with celebrities because they have a much harder time meeting people because
Mhm.
everybody
What they
has
do.
preconceived notions about them. And so I like to get to know them for who they really are and be able
Mhm.
to market them without other people, really questioning why is this person single, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I
You'd be
like that.
amazed. I've worked with celebrities that are celibate. I've worked with celebrities that have never had a serious relationship before,
Mm.
and you'd be amazed because they're attractive, successful people, but they just really have no luck in love.
Yeah. It's a lot tougher than we think it is for them,
Yeah,
I'm sure.
yeah, it is.
All right, number 5, blindfolded surprises or playful role play.
Uh,
Well, you don't like surprises.
I don't like surprises. I would say
Do you
playful.
like role play?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't say I'm not saying I like role play, but of the two, I'd probably choose that.
you'd pick that one.
Yeah.
All right, I'm getting a little personal. All right, number 6, would you rather have the ability to read your partner's mind during sex or be able to control their sensations with just a touch?
Control their sensations with a touch. I don't want to know what they're thinking during sex. Let them think about whatever they want to think about.
That would be a nightmare. I wouldn't want them knowing what I'm thinking.
Yeah, exactly. No, controlling them with touch would be even better.
Way better. Number 7, would you rather work with clients who are hopeless romantic or those who are total skeptics about love? What's
Oh,
easier?
hopeless romantics for sure. Yeah, because they're the ones that are more willing to take a chance.
Hmm. Yeah, that's me. Number 8, would you rather have a client who is incredibly picky but open to your advice or one who's super easygoing but never listens to your recommendations?
Um, Easygoing but never listens. I mean, there's some people out there where no matter what you say to them, they're going to do what they want to do, and
Hmm.
it's in one ear and out the other. You know, for me, at the end of the day, I'm here to do a job and get you in front of people that are like-minded and well-intentioned. And if I'm doing my job, then I'm happy.
Yep. Can lead them to water, but you can't make them drink.
Correct.
And number 9, trying new positions or mastering the old ones, the classics.
Mastering the old ones.
It ain't broke, don't fix it.
Exactly. No reason to try to struggle your way into something else that you have no idea if it's even working.
All right, last question. Slow dancing in the living room or spontaneous dance moves in the kitchen?
Uh, Slow dance in the living rooms. I
Hmm?
don't know what kind of spontaneous dance moves I have.
I was going to say, can you dance?
Yeah, I mean, I think I can, but I mean, that's my own opinion. I don't know what other people think of my dance skills, but no,
Yeah, stick
I
to
like,
what you know.
yeah, I like slow dancing with my wife.
Oh, I love that. That's fun. That's nice. Sweet. Oh my gosh. Thank you once again for actually answering all those questions with me and elaborating. I love that when I get a little bit more that I bargained for. So that's
Sure.
great. And I loved having you. And like I said, all your information will be in the show notes for the listeners to come and find you. That's
Great.
wonderful. I love what you're doing with the matchmaking. So thank you for joining me. And to the listeners out there, thank you for listening. I hope you got a lot of powerful, incredible information from Steve today and that you might consider matchmaking for yourself if that's something you're interested in. And you guys can find me on any major streaming platform. And you're welcome to email me at info@frommrs2ms.net. You guys have a wonderful week and we'll see you next week. Bye.